we please get the meeting started? Could I ask you, the clerk, please take roll call.
Supervisor Schmitter.
Here.
Councilman Sencropi.
Here.
Councilman Pilara.
Here.
Councilwoman Dyson. Here. Councilwoman Laskowski. Here.
Please rise for the pledge of allegiance, a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please have a seat. At this time for presentations, I have Mark Pittifer signed up.
Mark, I thought we were friends.
Sorry, I needed the other one for me here. So I put a packet in front of the board. Good evening, Supervisor Schmitter, Pete Sosha, and members of the Seneca Falls Town Board. My name is Mark Pittifer, and I'm here speaking on behalf of Bill Lutz and the Waterloo Container Company. Before I begin my remarks, I'd like to draw your attention to the packet of information I handed out to you, starting with the beginning. If you take a look, there's a crossroads that the town is at. And the question is, which direction do we want to take? Jumping immediately in, there's a quote from the New York State Department of Health. Studies have been conducted in communities near landfills to evaluate health effects associated with exposure to landfill gases. These studies lasted for several months and reported health complaints which coincided with periods of elevated levels of H2S, hydrogen sulfide, and landfill odors. The reported health complaints included eye, throat, lung irritation, nausea, headache, nasal blockage, sleeping difficulties, weight loss, chest pain, aggravation of asthma. These effects are consistent with exposure to hydrogen sulfide. If we move on, the CDC says, quote, hydrogen sulfide is a heavier air, colorless gas with a rotten egg smell. The odor threshold ranges from 0.0005 to 0.3 parts per billion. Moving on, this means that H2S, odor, the word is odor. Odor can be detected by a human nose anywhere from 0.05 to 3 parts per billion with a B and beyond. Moving on, the World Health Organization recommends that hydrogen sulfide concentrations not exceed 5 parts per billion to avoid substantial complaints about odor. Moving on, we have this chart. Waterloo Container, at a personal expense to Bill Lutz of over $35,000, invested in the past several months in the gold standard of gas detection instrumentation. Interestingly enough, we invested in the same company and equipment that High Acres and other mega landfills like Seneca Meadows uses to detect H2S gas. This is according to FOIL documents. This data is irrefutable and concrete. The Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease states that ambient air, normal air, like air in this room, only has natural H2S gases between 0.00011 and 0.00033 parts per million. Not even 1 part per billion with a B. Yet the graph that I have in front of you shows the last 31 days of data collected at Waterloo Container, from July 24th till August 25th. All of our findings, 52 spikes of H2S over 31 days at Waterloo Container, are from 4 parts per billion to 10 parts per billion. Not only is it affecting the ambient air in Seneca Falls, the data confirms that there have been numerous complaints above the detectable range. With this detectable odor comes overlap, where SMI detects no odor, but Seneca Falls Town zoning detects odor. Lastly, this means that in the last 31 days, odor detected from Seneca Meadows at Waterloo Container was within or greater than the odor detection and irritant causing threshold outlined by the CDC 100% of the time on the 52 different spikes detected between the 31 days. Since the implementation of the odor complaint system in February of 2024, an alarming pattern has emerged that cannot be ignored. In our situation alone, over the past 7 months, 45 plus affidavits were filled out regarding foul odors attributed to Seneca Meadows. Shockingly, given official correspondence from Seneca Meadows to date, only 4 of these 45 affidavits were verified by Seneca Meadows as confirmed odor from Seneca Meadows. However, on several of those dates, the town zoning officials came out to Waterloo Container, and numerous complaints of ours on the same dates and times where Seneca Meadows said there was no odor, the town zoning confirmed there was odor from Seneca Meadows at our location, substantiating that a significant portion of these reported odors are indeed connected to Seneca Meadows. I want to use that word again, odor. The impact on local businesses like ours is severe. Employees at Waterloo Container have been exposed to landfill odors and gases 26% of all workdays in the last 7 months, resulting in multiple illnesses and operational disruptions. One day in the past few months, we had 4 people leave sick due to landfill odor. And most recently, one went home physically ill last week due to landfill odor exposure. The gravity of the situation is underscored by independent H2S gas collection equipment and third-party verification, which confirmed the presence of that H2S gas from Seneca Meadows on 72% of the days when odor complaints were recorded. You might ask, why wouldn't it be 100% of the time? Well, because some of those complaints were consistent with raw garbage, municipal waste smell, where the rest were that landfill smell, the gassy smell, consistent with H2S gas. But Seneca Meadows has boldly claimed in a mailer to all residents in April of this year, quote, air monitoring indicates no H2S is detected more than 98% of the time, end quote. And, quote, since 2022, in excess of 98% of the time, H2S, the main compound associated with landfill odors, was not detected, end quote. At first glance, these figures might seem reassuring, but upon closer scrutiny, as we've revealed to you, they reveal a troubling narrative. The notion that not detecting H2S 98% of the time absolves Seneca Meadows of responsibility is absurd. Air monitoring is not infallible and can miss transient or low concentration emissions. Essentially, if their threshold for detection is too high, then it will be rarely detected. Moreover, the statistics conveniently ignore the substantial evidence of recurring odor complaints and documented impact on local businesses, whether it's intentional or not. Their statements are misleading. But sadly, this gets worse. 2 weeks ago, the Finger Lakes Times was quoted as saying, the New York State Department of Health identified a lung cancer cluster in the northern part of Seneca County, including the census tracts in Waterloo, Seneca Falls, Fayette, Junius, and Tyre. The state is conducting data analysis of the cancer cluster, but the DEIS, Draft Environmental Impact Statement, from Seneca Meadows states that analysis will not allow determination of the cause of the lung cancer incidents in the cluster areas. Seneca Meadows says based on that, they conclude the landfill and the valley infill will have no impacts on lung cancer rates. 15 more years at 6,000 tons a day, 6 days a week, will have no impact on lung cancer rates. So, essentially, Seneca Meadows DEIS to the DEC dismisses a connection between any landfill operations and the discovered lung cancer cluster by claiming, quote, analysis will not allow determination of the cause of the lung cancer incidents, end quote. In essence, Seneca Meadows is suggesting that providing a link between their operations and cancer rates is our responsibility, This is a troubling stance when public health is at stake. The strategy of evasion and misdirection does not resolve the real and pressing concerns of our community. The incomplete and dismissive responses from Seneca Meadows only underscore the urge and need for rigorous independent investigations and transparent accountability. This board should demand more from those responsible for these environmental health risks, rather than accepting superficial reassurances and statistical sleights of hand. But it's not just odor, it's a matter of public health and division in our community. For those who don't know, the expansion of Seneca Meadows facility hinges upon obtaining a local permit. Now I know 2 years in a row they didn't have an operating permit in 21 and 22, and now they've operated without a local operating permit for almost 8 months. But it underscores the importance of this board's role in the decision-making process. The board's decision to withhold approval based on legitimate and ongoing odor complaints has been a critical step in addressing this issue. What's most important is the data. The data we've presented to you and the complaints over the last several months confirm that the odor problem has not only persisted, but has worsened since February. These trends highlight the need for a thorough and responsible evaluation of the situation before any approvals are granted. Lastly, it is important to recall the board's previous decision to table the permit. This was primarily driven by concerns over persistent odor. The board rightly chose not to approve, awaiting evidence in the several-month period that these odors would improve over time. As a reminder, this governing body voted 5-0 in that regard. Unfortunately, despite 7 months of a new odor complaint system and the data, the odor situation has not improved. The complaints and evidence presented indicate that the problem has persisted and in some cases worsened. Given this lack of progress, it is crucial that the board remain consistent. The initial decision to withhold the permit approval was grounded in legitimate concerns about public health and quality of life, and these concerns have not been alleviated. To ensure that the board's decisions reflect a commitment to the well-being of our community and uphold the standards set previously, it is both reasonable and necessary to continue denying the permit until the odor issues are adequately addressed and resolved. Seneca Meadows had and continues to have the opportunity to resolve or at least mitigate the odors and H2S issues, so far unsuccessfully. Consistency in our actions and decisions is vital to maintaining public trust and ensuring effective governance. Therefore, I urge the board, please adhere to your previous position. Deny the permit currently based on your decisions of the past and for the sake of consistency. Caitlin, Frank, Dawn, and Jackson, nothing has changed. Please, for the sake of the children, think of our future when you vote.
Okay, at this time, we will open up privilege of the floor. So anybody that would like to speak, we'll do it one at a time. Please, when you approach the thing, use the microphone, state your name and your address, and then give us what you want to hear. Come right up. We'll take turns. Go ahead.
Thank you for hearing my words tonight. My name is Maria Fowler. I live at 116 Clinton Street, Seneca Falls. First, I want to share with you my experience of last night of calling an odor complaint in. We had our windows open 3 times in the past couple weeks because we finally had some nicer, cooler weather, and every single time we were forced to shut the windows because the smell was permeating our house. So we can't even enjoy the fresh air in our own home. My mother lives next door. I went over to check on her as I do every night. She's 86 years old and had to physically cover my face because it was gagging. the smell was so bad last night. Got over to her house and called the hotline. And Andrew called me back very shortly thereafter and said he would be coming out. Fine. Finished my visit with my mom and went and waited on my front step. I believe it was him that stopped at my neighbor's house to do whatever it is he does to detect whether there's an odor, but he never spoke to me and never came to my house. I don't obviously have the letter to say whether he thought there was a smell or not, but just an example of what we live with day to day. The other point I want to bring up, which in a roundabout way has to do with the money we get from the landfill, is, as I said, my mom is 86 years old, living on low income, and this is the first year she doesn't qualify for the enhanced star because our town has now decided to count the money she takes from her savings as her income, and it puts her over the threshold.
You can't do that.
The advanced star this year is $107,000.
There, I might be saying the words wrong.
Yeah, you might be talking about the senior citizen exemption.
Okay, so the
Because the enhanced star is $107,000.
Okay, so I'm talking about the senior citizen
Okay,
exemption. Sorry, I misspoke. This is the first year she hasn't qualified for that. And when I took her paperwork in, they said, you know, the state does not require you to count that, but each municipality has the option to count withdrawals from your IRA against you. And we have obviously decided to do that because what she used to get as an exemption, she no longer does. And so it just baffles my mind that those who are in favor of the landfill talk about the financial benefits, and yet we are nitpicking our senior citizens who live on $21,000 a year, and it affects her. So that is what I just wanted to share with you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Be sure to turn the microphone on, please. I believe there's a switch on.
I usually have a loud voice. Nobody's ever said that to me, but
You gotta hold it down.
I got to hold it down the whole time.
No, just for a few seconds.
We'll make it easy.
Hello? Yeah. Just for FYI, I did try to put my name to speak tonight, but it just didn't get on in time. To quickly piggyback off of Maria, yesterday you should have all seen an email. Oh, I'm sorry. Forgot, that was part of my spiel. Heather Benetti, 76 Garden Street, you should all know me by now. To piggyback off of Maria, where's Maria? Sorry, Maria. Yesterday I emailed the whole board, no response today, I apologize, but I know it was a holiday. Unfortunately, my husband, who's sitting here, my neighbor, we woke up to the horrendous stench of the dump. That it smelled like somebody just a gas bomb. I couldn't even light enough candles. I had 5 candles going in my whole house. So happy Labor Day, last day of summer before I have to go back to school. But that's off on a tangent. So here we go. Good evening, Supervisor Schmitter, fellow board members. My name is Heather Benetti. I'm a lifelong resident of Seneca Falls. I live at 76 Garden Street. I want to express my concerns over the proposed expansion of SMI. We all know the negative facts of the landfill. The DEC knows it, the board, you know it, as well as SMI. The dump puts all of us and our natural resources of the Finger Lakes at risk. The dump releases PFAS and have created a cancer cluster, especially in the immediate area of the landfill. These have also contributed to the respiratory issues. I am here tonight to speak as a lifelong resident of 51 years to this board. We are blessed to have so many opportunities in this small town of ours. Grocery shopping, walking in the Seneca Falls Village, attending outdoors activities, even those in my backyard, having my windows open, driving to work. The smell has negative effects and impacts my daily routine. Over the summer months, I've had several out-of-town friends and family visit. Imagine having a cookout or walking Fall Street in town to support the local businesses and residents, spending money to be greeted by the horrendous odor, the smell from the dump. They ask, why do you live in this town? I often ask myself the same question. We are subjected to these toxins and the pollutants that are emitted from the landfill, which affect our right to clean air, to clean water, and a clean environment. It is our right as citizens. Imagine a tourist asking these same questions. How can we encourage them to visit, to stay, to eat, to shop in Seneca Falls, when they can stay in any other area of the Finger Lakes without an odor or exposure to the toxins? Is this how you want the economy for the town to be impacted? There's your taxes, Maria. To have commerce spent in other areas? To live in such a historical area and to have many natural resources in the area that cannot be used or enjoyed. I live in such a historical area and we have many, oh, sorry, I said that. What about the wineries? I work at a winery part-time. Part of my job, which is on the Cuba Wine Trail, part of my job is to promote the area, to recommend places to visit. Why would I want to send visitors to this town? To have them subjected to the smell? I have friends that have stayed at the Gould, as well as the Hampton, and they refuse to stay there again because of the landfill smell. Money that again could be spent in this area is being spent elsewhere. Sad. We deserve better. I have repeatedly emailed the whole board, you will see when you look at your emails, as well as the DEC about the horrendous smell in town. There's no escaping it. Why should daily life be impacted by the stench of the dump? Most days when the smell is so strong, I instantly get a headache, feel nauseous. These are the same symptoms that we all experience in our surrounding schools when we are affected by the landfill poisonous toxins. Why are you, the board, allowing them to enable my health and the health of young people and putting us at risk? The school year's just starting, people, not looking forward to it. I know what you're all thinking. Did you call the dump hotline? Yup. Did you call the town board or email the board? Yes, I did. Did you fill out the affidavit? Yup. Yes, yes, and yes. To only receive the infamous letter from SMI, no smell detected. I too called Andrew up on Sunday, never saw him, whatever the case may be. I am tired, beyond tired. My coworkers are tired. I am sure this is what the dump is hoping for. They are hoping that we become quiet. Well, I'm not. For the calls to be so much of a nuisance that we stop. Well, it's not going to happen. I will not tire of the fighting of our health. Please, I am begging each of you, I demand each of you to vote no. Enough is enough. It is our constitutional right. New York State has a constitutional called the Green Amendment, hence I'm wearing green. That amendment entitles us again to clean air, clean water, and a healthful environment, including you board members who live here. Thank you.
Thank you, Val.
Well, good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. I would like to point out what I think you all already know. Seneca Falls has become New York State's dumping ground for far too long. I'd like to insert a few statistics from my friend and neighbor Herb Holden, who could not be here tonight. In reading the environmental draft put forth to the DEC for an expansion, Herb and I noted that of all of the garbage that goes to Seneca Meadows, 50% of it comes from the New York City area and the suburbs, 50%. Of the amount that comes to Seneca Falls, in Seneca County, approximately 20 tons of the garbage is Seneca County. So at 6,000 tons a day, that's slightly over 3 days that Seneca Meadows is operating to take care of our garbage. We are literally a dumping ground. We know, and obviously Waterloo Container has just enlightened us even more of what we already knew. Landfill emissions degrade our air quality and likely contribute to health issues. We're all aware, and have been reminded again, that the New York State Health Department has identified a cancer cluster near Seneca Meadows in northern Seneca County. We also know, and this we've known, and we have to stop ignoring this, all of us, every single person who lives in Seneca Falls and Waterloo has to stop ignoring this. We also know that 3 Waterloo schools are probably within a mile of Seneca Meadows. A mile. These are our neighbors' children. And 3 of our schools are within 2 miles of Seneca Meadows. Right? It's time, and it's been time, and it's overdue that we protect the children of both Seneca Falls and Waterloo. I mean, it's ridiculous. We cannot deny this anymore. So in addition to asking you to deny the Seneca Meadows operating permit again, I'm also asking that you call the Region 8 DEC office and ask for Greg McLean. I can give you his contact information, and explain to him why you are denying it. We are in the Region 8 DEC. I would also ask him to connect you to now DEC Commissioner Sean Mahar. You need to speak to him and tell him why you're denying the permit and bringing up the health connections. You also then need to contact the Seneca County Health Department, inform the situation that they're aware of and why you are denying the permit, and ask them to, along with you as our governing body in Seneca Falls, to contact the New York State Health Department and see what they can do to help us. It's time to protect the health and environment of Seneca County, especially the children of Seneca Falls and Waterloo. Step 1 is denying the operating permit, and continued steps are contacting these governmental agencies in Albany and in Avon, New York, Region 8 DEC, and saying it's time to shut this down. We do not, you need to tell them, we do not want an expansion. No more. So please deny the permit, and please tell Albany and the DEC and the governor and the health department that we do not support the expansion of Seneca Meadows. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Steve Churchill. I live at 2048 Gravel Road in Seneca Falls. It's about a mile or two due east as the crow flies from Seneca Meadows. A beautiful day out there today. I think we can all agree, correct?
Yes.
And it was brought up. In the month of August, pretty hot. Air conditioning's on 90% of the time. But there were a few nights where the windows were open. And the gas not only comes into the house, but it wakes you. It wakes you up from your sleep. And at first you don't know what it is, but this terrible smell. And so, you know, and I understand for a lot of you people, you've never experienced that. You know, you might be in those locations where the landfill gas just hasn't permeated. But those areas where it goes and goes regularly, I'm telling you, it is god-awful. And it's not right. I have the right, it shouldn't take 50 people to come in here 50 times over the past 30, 40 years. I mean, if you really multiply, you look around, there might be 30 people here. But how many meetings and protests and rallies has there been over 40 years? So you're talking about thousands and thousands of people that are opposed to this freaking dump. And now we're considering that possibly we're going to let it go for another 15 years. I mean, that's absolute insanity. And even if they get a permit to go to 2040, doesn't mean we're not going to be in here every month or every 6 months or every year. You know, still trying to close this SOB down. But anyways, it's been beautiful. And you know, tonight, same thing. Windows will be open.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, where I live, it's like they release it at night. You know, it's really weird. 3, 4 in the morning, they must open some valve and let something go, because I typically don't smell it a lot during the day, but at night I certainly do. But I have the answers to it. I really do. And they're right here. And Seneca Meadows posted this. We are committed to controlling odors at Seneca Meadows, dated 2017, 7 years ago. Well, where the hell's the control? What have they done? Nothing. That's why this permit certainly can't be approved, and it truly ought to be just tabled. What I would say to Seneca's Meadows is, look, we're going to table it till at least January. Figure something out, come back in January. I wouldn't revisit month after month. It wears us out. I'm sure it wears you out. You're just going to hear the same arguments over and over and over, because they don't change. Nope. They don't change. They're destroying this community, and it will continue, because it's a dump. And they know it. There's the admission. Now, 2017, if anybody remembers, it was horrendous, because in 2016, on the western cell along Burgess Road, they had a blowout. Leachate blew out of their gas collection system, and they had to shut that down, the gas collection system. Well, if you shut down a gas collection system, guess what? You're going to get a lot of stink. And that happened in 2016 and 17. And if you recall, a lot of people were upset at that point in time. Since then, everybody's kind of put their head back in the sand and forgot about it. But it is getting bad again. And like I say, it only really takes one person to walk in here and say they're violating my rights, do something about it. Thank you. Oh, one other thing. Leachate. We haven't talked about leachate. My understanding, word on the street, is that the leachate just ate through a whole bunch of town sewer lines along 414, and you know, all points heading towards the village, and that the town is putting up a big penny to get that stuff fixed. Come on. The landfill destroyed the freaking sewer lines, dumping raw leachate into our canal, into New York State's waterway, and that ought to be on their dime, plus some big fines. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Please come up.
Yeah, because that was your first. Hi, my name's Kirsten Schimmel. I live right over here at 33 Bayard. That big greenhouse over there with a fence around it. If my neighbors hadn't stolen a lot of my equipment, I wouldn't have to have a fence around my place. But I have a fence around it, but it's exquisitely beautiful. I meet lots of people from around the United States. They always want to know my political leaning. I tell them I'm American. And then they look and see what we have and they, oh my God, it's beautiful. Yeah, it is. Because they're seeing it during the day. And the smell at night is disgusting. I have 176 feet on the canal. It's disgusting. You guys have got to stop it. I bought the house in 2009. It was going to be shut down in 13. Then it was going to be shut down in 14. Then people complained, oh, what about our jobs? Yeah? Well, where are your kids? Nobody stayed here. Nobody's building up this community. Our street, for God's sake, we haven't got any shops that are open. Gee, I wonder why. And now we're talking about a smell. What is wrong with you people? It's in the water. Yeah, it's eating our sewer lines. You turn on the faucet, nobody says, oh, you probably shouldn't have turned on your water tank, it's a little brown. Really? We got a major problem in this town. It's been going on for 15 years that I know of. I can't imagine before. We used to be a village. So we either got to get our shit together or just shut the town down. Because it's not safe to live here. Thank you.
All right.
You can both speak.
Hi, thanks for the opportunity to
Thank me, man. You gotta
tonight.
organize yourself.
My
get
name
your
is
shit
Linda
together.
Cordaro, and I've lived on Lower Lake Road for 26 years. I've watched the mountain of trash grow a lot over those years, and all the problems that go with it, truck traffic, noise pollution, air pollution, et cetera, et cetera. But I would like to focus on one issue, your health. I'm sure you've heard the saying, if you have your health, you have everything. So here's my question. Is your health for sale? Is the general health of our community for sale? Let's face it for what it is. If Seneca Metals was not offering millions of dollars in revenue to the town, it would have closed years ago. If Seneca Metals was not giving every organization in this town one of their large donations, this meeting would be in a much larger space. It would be packed with people demanding that we close the landfill. I understand that Seneca Metals offers employment to some of you. I also understand that Seneca Metals is a general supporter of many organizations and events in our community. But may I ask, what is your health worth? Is it for sale? The information that I'm going to read to you is based on research done by Seneca Lake Guardian. The landfill poses serious risks to public and environmental health and safety, making it at odds with the overwhelming popular amendment to the New York State Constitution passed last year, which guarantees every New Yorker the right to clean air, clean water, and a healthful environment. Seneca County's public health rank is 48th out of 62 counties. 48th. That's terrible. After SMI's last expansion, premature death in Seneca County began to far outpace the state and national averages. The leading causes of premature death are malignant tumors, heart disease, and chronic lower respiratory disease. These health conditions have been shown to have systemic links to ongoing landfill exposure. The area around Seneca Metals is in the 98th percentile in New York State for persons having one or more disabilities, in the 90th percentile for emergency department visits for COPD, and it has elevated rates of low birth deliveries. Now, you had a teacher up here telling you what the smell in the school, they have to close the windows and swelter in those classrooms because of the smell. Last night on Lower Lake Road, I also was woke up by the smell and had to get up and close all my windows. I cannot believe that you as board members sit there and you're even considering passing this. Even considering it. You all live here, I'm assuming anyway. You have families here, children. What about the children that live here? Fortunately, when I moved here, my children were all grown up and gone, and when they come back here now, you know what they say to me? Mom, how can you live here? Don't you smell that? So really, if we live here, the smell is actually much worse than we think, is the point I'm making. Because they come in and they're just dumbfounded that this is allowed. And you know, this is where these big organizations come and put their dumping grounds, is in rural communities, because they don't think we have the money or the time to protest it. Well, I have to tell you, we're going to be here week after week. And you know what? You're all going to be voted out unless we do something about this stuff. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Diane DePasquale Hegarty. Seneca Falls and the surrounding towns and the Finger Lakes region has a proud history, of which my family has played a large part. My ancestors helped dig the Erie Canal. My grandfather and father both worked at the Seneca Knitting Mill. My father had a law office downtown for many years and was Seneca County Judge for 25 years. I was born and raised in Seneca Falls, and my brother, sister, and I are property owners and taxpayers. I forgot to mention, I'm at 2377 Lower Lake Road. The matter before the elected officials today is of grave, far-reaching consequences, which is why I'm speaking today. It's well documented that the Seneca Meadows, despite a warm-sounding name, which I call more aptly the dump, is actually polluting our community, our air, our glacier lake waterways, our water table, and watershed, and negatively impacting the community's health. It's well documented, of which has been highlighted here this evening, that the Cube Lake has the highest rate of HABs, toxic algae growth, in the Finger Lakes. The incidence of lung cancer and other cancers, or what the New York Department of Health deems cancer clusters, within a 25-mile radius of the dump, is higher than the state levels. Almost double the incidence of lung cancer than the average cases expected given the population and the lower smoking cases rates in the area. To grant an expanded long-term operating permit to the dump today would increase the dumping capacity by approximately 50 acres and 70 feet high. This will wreak further environmental and health havoc on our community. Where will it end? As I drive past the dump on my frequent drives from Cleveland to Seneca Falls, the refuse mountain gets higher. The odor gets more pungent. The burning flames in the stacks are more evident. What a lovely sight. Less than 1% of the waste comes from Seneca County and is imported via trucks from New York City, 40 New York counties, and other New England states. Yes, we are the dumping ground. What was once It's a Wonderful Life for so many of us who are proud to call this area home. Yes, lifelong residents, is now nothing more than an opportunity corridor for the Texas-based company Waste Connections, Inc., dump owners who want to reap financial profit with no regard for the damage they are doing. Property owners suffering, residents getting sicker and dying from grave cancer diagnosis, and residents fearful to even drink their water. Is this our legacy? We're at a critical tipping point, of which if we do not change the course of action and deny the requested operating permit, there may be no return. Seneca Falls has become a museum, a homage to the women's rights. The Finger Lakes has become a tourist destination for wine, nature, fishing, and boating enthusiasts. Does anyone here contend that an even larger dump will in any way positively impact tourism, our quality of life? No, it's more than obvious that as the dump grows and the area becomes more contaminated by government and corporate irresponsibility, tourists will avoid this area, only further decreasing economic opportunity, decreasing our enjoyment, decreasing our quality of life for our residents. And yes, even resident death from carcinogens from dump polluting our air and our water. I obviously have a time constraint, so, and I don't want you to get the hook, but this is of obviously great concern to all of us. And we as a community can and should do better. And I implore you this evening to deny this operating permit. Thank you.
Good evening, community members, members of the town board. My name is Abby Buddington, and I'm here on behalf of Seneca Lake Guardian, an organization dedicated to protecting the health and sustainability of our region's most precious resources. Our mission is to safeguard the environmental integrity of Seneca Lake and the surrounding communities for current and future generations. Tonight, I'm speaking on behalf of our members, local business owners, school teachers, residents, and more in Seneca County and across the region to urge you to deny the local operating permit for the Seneca Meadows landfill. This landfill has made our town, New York's dumping ground for far too long, posing a significant threat not only to our community, but to the entire region and the state. The continued operation of this landfill stands in direct opposition to New York State's climate and environmental goals and puts our community's health and well-being at risk. Our neighbors that we've heard from today are suffering from the landfill's pervasive and noxious odors. Our workforce and local students are often overwhelmed by nausea and the inability to focus due to the landfill's stench. Our complaints, as you've seen evidence today, are overlooked by Seneca Meadows Incorporated. Seneca Meadows is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions, particularly methane, which is a gas over 80 times more potent than carbon dioxide. These emissions degrade our air quality, contribute to global warming, and exacerbate the climate crisis. This is not the legacy we want to leave for our children and our grandchildren and their future generations. Moreover, the landfill poses a serious public health risk. Runoff and wastewater from Seneca Meadows contains PFAS, as we've heard about, the so-called forever chemicals, which are linked to cancer and immune system damage. Allowing this landfill to continue operating puts the health of our community at even greater risk. Our neighbors are dying from lung cancer at a higher rate than other counties across the state. Opposition to this landfill is mounting, both here in Seneca Falls and across the state. 9 municipalities and 4 county governments have passed resolutions against its expansion. Over 400 public officials and business owners across the Finger Lakes have voted their opposition as well. Dozens of community members have taken the time to testify in front of the town board tonight, and I think for years and years before this, and call for permanent closure of the Seneca Meadows landfill. The odor, the truck traffic, the unsightly mountain of garbage. This is not what our community deserves. We urge you to stand with us, your neighbors, who are saying enough is enough. Please deny the permit for Seneca Meadows and help us move toward a cleaner, healthier, and more sustainable future for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Hello? Hi, my name is Nina. I'm a landscape designer. I recently purchased a house on Lower Lake Road. Last November, when I moved in, on many days I smelled horrible odors while gardening and working outside, although I live 6 miles from the landfill. The next day I called the town offices and left a message about the stench. No one returned my call. Had I been informed of the enormously harmful effects of the landfill, I doubt that I would have purchased property in Seneca Falls. Why is there a weak demand for housing in the area? Why are poverty rates increasing? Why are cancer rates the highest in the state and go unreported? Because families don't want to live near a dangerous landfill. The fact is that every day 6,000 tons of garbage are hauled to the landfill from New York City and neighboring states. As a country, we need to address our solid waste management problem. That's evident. Some states have figured out how to compost the garbage in their communities, like Connecticut, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Vermont. They have enacted laws over the past decade that divert organic waste from landfills to composting facilities through composting mandates while providing opportunities for residents and businesses. Yes, it's about economics in an area that is the birthplace of women's rights, with the first female governor, herself a New Yorker. Why doesn't the DEC honor the Green Amendment, the constitutional law passed in 2021 by the state that guarantees clean water, air, and a healthful environment? How can this town be so ruthless as to line pockets with out-of-state money for a landfill that's destroying the community, harming the lives of children, concealing the highest rate unexplained lung cancer clusters, and driving businesses away while silencing the voices of the people? What is the incentive for people to want to live here with the clear and present danger? The real economics is that the landfill is driving people and businesses away. I want to know, where's the conscience here?
Thank you.
Apparently I'm the last one. My name is Jean Gilroy. I live at 1872 Gravel Road, Seneca Falls. 110-acre farm directly east of the landfill. I can now see the landfill over the trees from my barn. So what is the point of denying a Seneca Meadows permit? Seneca Meadows can continue to keep dumping 6 tons a day, as it has done for all of 2024. When a previous board withheld the permit for years, Seneca Meadows still continued to dump the same amount daily, plus ship 100,000 gallons of leachate a day to our water treatment plant and water treatment plants around the state. So what's the point of having this town permit? Well, as Mark suggested, it's necessary for the continuation of the Seneca Meadows expansion. It also sends a signal to Seneca Meadows and to the DEC that we are sick and tired of being the landfill capital of New York State. It tells the DEC and SMI that we care about our air quality and our water quality, and that we care about what happens to our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren in the future. We care about our rich heritage, our wonderful life in Seneca Falls, in our wonderful town. Foul odors remind me of the toxins and gases released by Seneca Meadows. 16 billion feet of fugitive emissions, human carcinogens, and particulates. Sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, and monoxide, hydrochloric acid, hydrogen sulfate, hydrogen sulfide, ammonia, to name a few. Particulates are seen only by an electron microscope. You don't see them in the air, but they're there. So breathe well, all you bicyclists and runners on Gravel Road. Foul odors are not limited to air quality. How about the 30 feet of collapsed sewer line on 414, carrying sewage and leachate, creating an environmental and health hazard? Regarding these emissions, SMI can only say that allegations of harmful effects are false, and that short-term, the emissions are at acceptable levels. I ask you, how short is short-term? A month, a year, 15 years, a generation? Will our grandchildren be wallowing in foul air and emissions long-term? As a friend once said to me, if it smells bad, it can't be good. Thank you.
My name is Jessica Lambert. I live at 38 Miller Street. I'm going to give you a break from the dump for half a second. But I wanted to bring up the flooding that our street has endured for the past 3 years. There's a lot of people here to speak, so I shortened my timeline just to give you guys some background knowledge in case you aren't aware. My house, the backyard, side yard, is set down lower, so when it floods and fills up, it is a good 6 or 8 inches of water. So between August 2021 and August of 2024, the back and side yard has flooded 4 separate times. The backyard, the side yard, and the driveway 3 times, and all of those areas, including my basement, 3 times. I would like to thank Mr. Schmitter for coming out during Hurricane Debbie to see the floodwater in action. Mr. Avery has been the only other board member, I believe, that I've seen to witness what it looks like, and that's where flooding is kind of tricky, that 2 or 3 or 4 hours after the rain stops, it looks like the area is back to normal, and it's not really as bad as what we would like to make it out to be. Back in 2021, Mr. Avery was on the board, and he was a huge advocate trying to push for a solution to the Miller Street flooding. At that time, there was a Band-Aid that was going to be done. There was talks about diverting the water above Miller Street into larger storm drains to take some of the water so that it wouldn't be so heavy into our smaller drainage pipes. They also replaced a drainage pipe that goes along my property line because it was full of roots. So they believed that that was part of the cause of the flooding. The water couldn't come through. They replaced it with a much bigger pipe. However, bigger pipe going into a smaller pipe, there's still going to be backup. It's still not going to move the water the way it needs to. And I believe that it has just pushed the water out of another separate drainage pipe that runs perpendicular in my yard. You guys, all of you are welcome to come to my house. We'll walk around the property. I can show you these things. It's hard to picture and understand if you haven't really seen it.
What's your house number?
38. Okay. In the middle of it, I was,
we were there for looking at,
trying
to figure out a resolution, but the day of the flooding, it was different than you're talking about.
I was up and down between my basement. It was my boyfriend's first time trying to keep my basement from flooding as much as possible. So I only saw you pass by in the truck as you were leaving. So I'm sorry I didn't see Mr. Seneca, but thank you for seeing it while it was happening. So Debbie hit, and it was not only my sump pump, but we also have purchased a sludge pump, which I'm thankful and lucky that it was able to keep up with everything. My neighbors are not as lucky as I have been. My neighbor across the street has lost their hot water tank and their furnace multiple times. Every time that we get lots of rain, more water comes into my basement, into my foundation. It's washed out my driveway, which happened the first time it flooded in 2021. Every time that there's standing water, it causes more and more of my yard to sink in different spots. I haven't even thought about trying to replace it because I don't make enough money to literally have these things washed away the next time it floods. And then to top it off, my assessment increased by almost triple. And then when I wanted to, attest it, they dropped to $10,000. Cool. I joke with my neighbors about how it must be my cool water features, like when I have a wading pool in my backyard, or the lazy river down my driveway, or the in-ground pool in my basement when it starts to flood. And that's I joke, but it's a serious thing. Like, I don't know, I don't understand how I have not made improvements to my home for it to increase value that much and yet still have all of these things happening often. I guess in closing, you know, you guys kind of landed this problem. But as a taxpayer and as a citizen, it should have been handed over to you to deal with from the prior board. And I think that we need a solution now, because the Band-Aid was supposed to happen in 3 years, which would be now. And I don't think that we can wait another 3 years for a Band-Aid or a better solution to be had.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes our speakers. We do have one letter here.
She went. Oh, Nina, I'm sorry. Thank you for Nina. Just let you know, we received 20 and one phone call.
I got, okay, what the clerk is saying, last week or so, we've had many calls from people concerned about the landfill. A lot of letters, this and that. I'll read one. I'm not going to read 20 letters here. All the ones are obviously supporting what you guys are telling us today. So let me read this one and then we'll continue the meeting, please. Dear board members, I am writing regarding tonight's vote to grant SMI with an operating permit. I am requesting the operating permit for SMI be denied based on its failure to comply with the Town of Seneca Falls order regulations. SMI continues to spew noxious odors into our air in violation of its present operating permit. Not only are the smells frequent and horrid, but there is ample evidence the odors contain various dangerous chemicals and compounds that have negative health consequences for the citizens of our community. The fact is supported by the report issued by the New York State Health Department deeming our community a cancer cluster. As members of the town board, you have an obligation and responsibility to protect the health and welfare of the citizens of Seneca Falls. The operating permit should be denied until SMI can effectively address the odors it is emitting daily. In addition, the present odor complaint system is completely ineffective and favors SMI. The present system does not produce results for those who make complaints, and therefore complaints are made infrequently. I know I am personally guilty of not frequently calling due to the complete and effective system. In conclusion, as a member of the Seneca Falls community, I am requesting the operating permit from SMI be denied until SMI can comply with the order regulations set forth in the town codes. Thank you sincerely, Dominican Catalano. Okay, so, like I said, there was many letters here. You hear all night reading those. Most of them pretty much saying the same thing. So I'm going to continue with the board meeting at this point. Can I have a motion to accept the approval of the minutes from the August 6th meeting?
I'll make a motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, I have a special event permit application for the Seneca Falls Library. It's a family event from 4 to 7. Estimated 300 people. Pumpkins after dark.
Make a motion. I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I mean, there's more than 50 people. I thought he was supposed to sign up.
No, it came to me last minute. I've been gone for a week.
We'll get it to 10. We'll make sure it's all set.
Approval pending review.
Yeah, this part of the meeting is where I give a little bit of update on the thing. And speaking of the flooding issue here, I'm going to be talking a little about that now. So when I ran for office, you know, I told you people in town I'd get things resolved. I inherited about 25 major projects, but some are 5, 6 years old. And I dedicated a lot of time to get those resolved. However, there's still a lot of issues the board is trying to resolve without much success. So tonight, I'm going to be asking the board tonight to approve a resolution to create a public works department. That department will be controlled by the board and will assist the town with all the matters requested by the supervisor and the board. Some of the goals that we'll focus on will be the drainage and the infrastructure. Okay, so some of the ideas is we have to get the ditches cleaned out. Okay, that we've been talking about it and it's not getting done. So if we can form this public works, that's stuff they can do. Storm drain cleaning, we need to get that done. Basement drainage, we need to help people with that. And then we need to prevent stormwater from reaching sanitary sewer. So right now, one of the major problems we have during heavy rains is people are pumping water from their sump pumps and their gutters into the sanitary sewer. They're supposed to go to the storm sewer. So I would like to take this department and maybe have a couple people where their job would be, if you have, say your sump pump is going into this sanitary sewer, which is wrong, and you can't do it, but there's no way for us to check the houses. But I would like the people to report it, and we will come resolve it for you for free. I will send 2 people who will go to the door and say, okay, your sump pump needs to go out the wall. We'll put a core drill through your wall and put it outside and do it. This is my idea. I got to get approval from the board. But we have to do something. Because right now, the sanitary sewer, we get heavy rain, everybody's pumping stuff into it, their gutters are going into it, and the pipe's exploding, the manhole covers up, and it's coming up in people's basement. We got to get people to cooperate. Call us, go there, resolve the issue. If you need a sump pump, you'd have to buy the equipment. We'll provide the manpower to do it. You can't have the taxpayer to start buying people pumps and stuff. But if we get this resolved, it would save a lot of issues. And then the other stuff, we are going to be working on this Miller Street stuff like that. People's basements shouldn't be flooding. And the only way to do this is get another group of people working for the town to resolve it. Some will have to contract out. Some stuff we can do, but we can't just keep pushing it down the road. So I'm going to ask for that resolution tonight to start forming that. We'll have a hearing next meeting for it if anybody wants to. And that way we can start resolving this issue instead of pushing it down the road like everybody keeps complaining that we've been doing. And it's been, I don't blame you people. If your basement's flooding, it's an issue. Okay? And I really want to resolve it. And this is one way I think we can start doing it and continue to make the town a better place. It's not going to happen in 6 months or a year. It might take a couple of years, but if we don't start it, we're never going to resolve these issues for you. So that is a plan I want to do. Okay? Another project I'm going to ask people to listen to, and I would really like feedback to your board members and myself about this, okay? This is something myself I've thought about in the last couple of weeks, and I've talked to Matt Horner, who gave me a little bit of guidance on how we would handle something like this. So 2 and 10 Fall Street, downtown. Look, they're both down there. I would like to see the town purchase 10 purchase 2 Fall Street, because currently both buildings are an eyesore and have very little, no benefit to the town. Once we have them, I would like to demolish them, and I would like to move Vince's Park from there to downtown Seneca Falls. Put a pool down there for the kids so people can get there from downtown. Right now, people can't get out to Vince's Park. The kids can't do it, and that's what the pool's supposed to do. I'd like to put some pavilions down there, make it a park, maybe a walking track, maybe pickleball court. It's the best property we have in town. Yeah. It's on the canal. And if we do that, and maybe at some point there's LWRP grants and stuff, we could put a pier out there where people could go for photographs, hang out, whatever. It's just an idea. I'd like people in town to give feedback to the entire board if there's something you'd be interested in looking at have us do.
So what would be your Vince's Park? Sell it?
And that's, well, yeah, I was going to continue that. So Vince's Park, I would like to sell that only exclusively if it became a housing development, where they would have their own pool, their own clubhouse, and then I already had someone interested in possibly doing that, and they would just build houses for people to live out there, and it would be like their own thing. That way we put more housing on the tax roll and places for people to live. So that's something I'm thinking about, and I'd like to get feedback from the community on that over the next 30 days.
What kind of housing are you talking?
Well, I would say middle class or up. I don't want more low-income housing out there. I would want middle class or better.
Are we talking like apartment housing or single family homes?
I would think of single family homes. But the person I was talking to, they're talking about Syracuse is opening that chip factory, and there's a lot of executives looking for housing. And they do want to move to Seneca Falls because of the school district. So that is a strong point, and something we need to take advantage of, so.
Do they know the dog?
So, yeah, do that. All right, so those are just some suggestions I have for the town.
Thank you
and,
for those
we'll
suggestions.
be working on those.
Coming up with some new ideas.
So, okay, I'm gonna go on now. Can I have a motion accepting communications 1 through 6?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so now we're going to go on to old business. And the only thing old business is to renew the permit for Seneca Metals.
It's just the annual permit. It's not a permit for the 15 years.
Right, it's their annual permit for this year. Yes. I mean, personally, I would make a motion that we've heard a lot of stuff today. We've got a lot of stuff to look into. At least table it for a month so we can consider what the people have told us, and then we can go ahead and make a decision. That's my motion. Someone want to second it? Second. Any discussion?
I think we don't, that's not enough time, a month? A month?
Okay, well, we can table it for 2 months or 3 months, whatever you would like.
Well, I just think we need to, if she has letters also we'd like to read.
Okay, so I'll make the
One
amendment that
month is enough time.
we'll
to
make
that decision.
we table it for 3 months so we can have time to review all the stuff we heard today and continue.
I'll make that,
Second.
second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, so it's tabled until December meeting.
I think, Frank, in the 90 days that the board get together, we should have a special board meeting and talk about, what are the pros and cons of, giving them the permit or not giving them the permit. We'll never get together and talk about it.
That's what the meeting rules. Yeah. I think it's going Okay. I'm going to continue on with new business in this time. I have a resolution here, the town of Seneca Falls reports stormwater drainage. I have a proposal here from town of Seneca Falls to perform stormwater drainage improvements in area previously designated second ward of the village of Seneca Falls, where we're going to transfer approximately the sum of $200,000 from the
I make a motion, we do the stormwater drainage.
I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. I have a resolution for new patrol vehicle, Seneca Falls Police Car, sign agreement. Enterprise to purchase one.
Make a motion, we purchase the vehicle.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. I have a motion to replace a part-time employer for the finance office. Susie Tribble.
I make a motion, we replace that.
Susie Trimble's gonna be.
Yeah, she's wants to leave the clerk's office to go work in bookkeeping. Frank had to retire because of personal stuff. That's good.
And it's gonna be part-time?
Yes. Same. Can I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. I have a resolution here to purchase a computer for the finance office. Have a motion?
Make a motion. A second.
Any discussion?
We can't hear you guys.
Yeah, I apologize. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
Who's the second?
So I have a resolution here for the Seneca Museum waterway. They're looking for repairs in the floor for $23,000. My thought on that is it's not a budgeted item. We need to. We do have a grant for $9,000, and I did get the DRI update on it, and some of that was repairing the bathrooms and stuff, making them more modern. So think we need to hold off on this until we find out exactly what the DRI is going to do, so we're not spending town money when we could be using the DRI money.
Should we table this then?
Well, how long do we have to table it before it would lose? By the end of the year? We would have to use the grants for this year, correct?
Yeah, yeah. So we can just make a decision next
We're
year.
We can table it, but.
Yeah, I should know more from the DRI
Okay.
in a month, so why don't we table it to next,
Make a motion that we table it.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
Frank, why don't you send us an email when you get the news.
Okay, yeah, yes. I got a resolution here from the Water Department for CDL driver training for Rory Orlando, Austin St. John.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
And they will have to sign a waiver if they have to stay with us for 3 years if they have to reimburse us.
And we're aware of this?
They will be, once we prove it, you'll have them sign the letter.
They are aware.
All in favor?
Wait,
Wait, sorry, discussion?
Now, will that make everybody in the department have a CDL after these two guys go?
One more person next year.
Oh, one more, okay, all right.
Next
Try
one.
next year.
Okay, all right.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. I have a resolution here for required wastewater operator training. Louis Archer and Troy Pickard for training.
I'll make a motion to send them to training.
Are they as well? I'm sorry.
A second.
Yeah, they understand. They got to stay 3 years. They have to pay back, yes.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
Under new business, can I just mention something? Sure. I've got a recommendation for the town supervisor. We have the last meeting, I think we talked about a community environmental committee. Okay?
We did.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people have come to me and volunteered for the committee. And their names are Matt Reardon, Barb Reese, Jenny Noakes, Claire Ludovico, Jean Gilroy, and Tricia Cavallo. They've all called me and said they're interested in being on that committee.
So Melissa would.
Tricia is the chairperson for it, so she's well aware of when those times are.
I can't hear you.
Tricia
Yeah.
is the chairperson?
I don't know who's going to be the chairperson. They haven't even convened yet. I told them they can't meet and do anything until they're officially appointed.
Okay.
By the town.
We will do that. I will appoint them tonight. Okay, and then we'll figure out who will be the chair of that.
Yeah, they can elect their own chairperson.
Okay. Thank you, Frank.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I have that resolution introducing proposed local law for public hearing Department of Public Works. And then with that, there's also a local law to create a Department of Public Works, a director. So we'd be creating a local law 3. We would be having a hearing before our board meeting at 6 o'clock on October 1st. So if anybody wants to come and speak about that, they can do it at 6 o'clock the next meeting. So, Melissa, I'll need you to post that, please, when you get the chance. Can I have a motion to?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. We talked about this last month to join the consortium, so we have another resolution. They needed it worded a little bit different, the same type of thing. For our health insurance to now go through the Tompkins County Municipal Health Insurance Consortium. Have a motion? Motion. Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Can we fill in the blanks?
I don't know when I, this. Okay, well, we can do anything with that, what we'll tell you about.
So, no,
So you just
we
agree
looked
that-
into that, and the consortium is, the idea of the consortium is they have the exact same products, so it shouldn't involve a change, unless it's making things cheaper. But you're not changing the percentage division between what the town pays and what the employee pays. So it's consistent with what's in that handbook.
Thank you. Okay, I got a resolution here for a seeker determination of environmental significance in local law 2. That was a resolution to adopt local law 2 for property maintenance.
So this relates to the public hearing was conducted prior to the August meeting. We had the amendments to the property maintenance code. It removed it from the zoning code, puts it in a standalone chapter, and we conducted the public hearing at the August meeting, and so now this is before you for the seeker resolution comes first, and then it is the resolution to adopt those amendments. That's the second resolution.
Have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And the last resolution I have is for water leaks and pool credits.
You'll make the motion?
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
There should have been the seeker.
Okay.
Yeah, we did that.
That should be two.
There's two separate ones.
Yeah, there's the seeker and
So I
then
have,
there's
we
the
just
adoption.
approved the seeker. And now we need to approve local law 2.
So I have a motion to, resolution to adopt local law 2, property maintenance.
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
And then, so that I'm caught up, water credits. Who did what? I made the motion. Thank you. Great, so did it. Thank you. Grace.
Okay, so at this time,
Can you just tell us what local law 2 was, because I've never heard of it before?
okay, it's, we're changing, Ken, you want to explain it? Local law, it's the code thing?
Sure.
You just question it?
Sure. So our planning committee meets regularly and goes through our code, is looking for ways to improve things. And one of the things we focused on was property maintenance, so things like junk vehicles in the yard, things like that. So we took it out of zoning, it's a standalone thing, so it's the idea being to make it really more enforceable, make it easier for our code enforcement officer
So
to,
something you can find people for and...
well, yes, exactly. So
That's
it's,
good, I'm happy
yeah,
with that.
yeah, so that's the idea. And so it's creating the new section with the property maintenance as a standalone, and then amending the existing zoning to remove it. So that was the idea behind that.
Is that something reportable by citizens, or is it only by your zoning people?
Anybody can contact our zoning officer. Yes.
Usually anything that's reported to the police department reports down here to somewhere
The dump transfer station?
Frank, you got the list of the people? Frank, you got the list? Yeah. All right, so I'm going to make a motion to form this committee. Okay, so the following people: Matt Reardon, Barbara Reese, Ginny Knotts, Claire Ludovico, Jean Gilroy, Chris Caravello, and Melissa Brown. Ginny Cooper. I'm sorry. Can I have a motion to accept these people for the committee?
I make a motion, we.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Then you can change that to names. Okay, at this point, this concludes our meeting. We are going to be going to executive session to discuss related to, can I have a motion to go to executive session to discuss related to proposed pending and current litigations between the town board and the town attorney only. Any discussion?
I'll make the motion.
Any discussion? Okay. Thank you everyone for coming. There will be no action when we come out of the meeting. Thank you.